In an unexpected turn of events, Bill Maher, the outspoken comedian and political commentator, recently dropped a bombshell about a secret dinner involving two of the most controversial figures in American culture, Donald Trump and Kid Rock. The dinner, which had remained shrouded in mystery until now, has become the talk of the town. The big question everyone's asking is, what really went down behind closed doors that night? Maher, known for his candid commentary and sharp wit, has finally opened up, and what he reveals is nothing short of explosive. The dinner was meant to be private, an exclusive meeting between Trump, the unpredictable former president, and Kid Rock, the controversial rock star turned political ally. But what happened during that gathering has been kept under wraps until Maher's jaw-dropping revelation. Was it a casual meal, a strategic meeting, or something more? The details have been elusive for months, and now Maher, who was not a part of the dinner but got wind of the behind-the-scenes drama, is revealing what really happened. As expected, this revelation is shaking the very foundations of political and celebrity culture alike. What was supposed to be just another dinner among political elites and celebrity figures has turned into a tale of power, tension, and explosive personalities. The combination of Trump's larger-than-life persona and Kid Rock's rebellious, unpredictable nature created a perfect storm of chaos. But Maher's insight is what brings the story to light. It's not just about the personalities involved. It's about what was discussed, who said what, and the tension that's been bubbling ever since that dinner took place. With so many high stakes and even higher egos at play, Maher's recounting of the night raises more questions than answers. The real question everyone's asking now is, why is Maher coming forward with this information now? What makes this dinner such a pivotal moment that he's willing to risk his reputation by sharing these behind-the-scenes details? Could this be more than just an inside scoop? Maher's timing is no coincidence, and he's clearly got a bigger story to tell. The details he's about to reveal are shocking, and they could very well alter the public's perception of both Trump and Kid Rock, possibly even shifting the course of their political influence and personal lives. What started as a private gathering between two of the most divisive figures in America has now turned into a public spectacle. But why is Maher the one sharing the story? Why him? It's a question that begs an answer. But Maher isn't one to shy away from controversy, and it's clear this revelation is just the beginning of something bigger. As the tension builds, we're about to dive deep into the secrets of that unforgettable night, filled with twists, tension, and unexpected moments that no one saw coming. This is the story of a secret dinner that might just change everything we thought we knew about Trump, Kid Rock, and the game of politics they play. With Maher's shocking revelation, one thing is clear. This is just the beginning of a whirlwind of chaos and controversy. What happened at that dinner? Who said what, and how did it all unravel? Stay tuned because the real story is about to unfold, and it's not what you expect. To understand the explosive drama of the secret dinner Bill Maher just revealed, we need to take a closer look at the key figures involved. Bill Maher, Donald Trump, and Kid Rock. Each of these men has a distinct place in American culture, and their personalities, opinions, and political influence make this dinner not just a casual gathering, but a stage for potential conflict and chaos. Bill Maher is not just another comedian or late-night talk show host. He's a sharp, unapologetic, political commentator who's never been afraid to challenge the establishment. Known for his satirical approach to the world of politics, Maher's perspective is unique because he doesn't align himself with one party or ideology. He often critiques both sides, offering a voice of reason, or sometimes pure provocation, that cuts through the noise of American politics. Maher's credibility comes from his ability to bring controversial figures and ideas into the spotlight, and his role in this dinner is critical. As someone who's never shied away from speaking his mind, Maher is perfectly positioned to expose the truth about the events that unfolded at this private gathering. When he shares his side of the story, it's not just another political opinion, it's a rare look behind the curtain from someone with first-hand experience. And that's what makes his revelation so compelling. Bill Maher isn't just talking about the dinner, he's giving us access to the unvarnished truth that we would otherwise never hear. Then, there's Donald Trump, a polarizing figure in American politics. Trump has consistently been at the center of the political storm since his unlikely rise to the presidency. With his brash, unconventional approach to leadership, Trump has reshaped the political landscape, earning both fierce supporters and equally fierce detractors. His influence in the media and politics is undeniable, and no one can deny the power of his personality. Love him or hate him, Trump commands attention. Whether it's through his controversial statements, his ability to dominate the news cycle, or his knack for turning every conversation into a spectacle. What makes Trump so fascinating, and often frustrating, is his unwillingness to conform to traditional political norms. He's not interested in playing it safe, which is exactly why his presence at any event guarantees an unpredictable outcome. His larger-than-life persona has made him a magnetic figure, and no one at that dinner could have predicted how his interactions with Kid Rock and Bill Maher would play out. Speaking of Kid Rock, the third key figure at the dinner, he brings his own brand of chaos to the mix. Kid Rock, born Robert James Ritchie, is a controversial figure in the entertainment industry. Known for his rebellious, unapologetic attitude, he's carved out a niche as a cultural icon for many of the same people who support Trump. The two have a history of public support for one another, with Kid Rock openly aligning himself with Trump during the 2016 presidential election. But Kid Rock isn't just a musician, he's a symbol of a certain kind of American defiance. His blend of rock, rap, and country music combined with his no-holds-barred persona has made him an icon for many working-class Americans who feel disconnected from the political establishment. His presence at the dinner adds an extra layer of intrigue. Kid Rock's ability to stir the pot with his blunt opinions and brash personality makes him a perfect match for the unpredictable Trump. And when you throw Bill Maher into the mix, you have a trio of individuals whose differing personalities are bound to lead to moments of tension, humor, and perhaps even conflict. When you combine Maher's critical approach to politics, Trump's larger-than-life presence, and Kid Rock's wild, unapologetic persona, you have the perfect recipe for a dramatic and potentially explosive dinner. Each of these men represents a different facet of American culture and politics. Maher as the provocateur, Trump as the outsider-turned-leader, and Kid Rock as the cultural rebel. Their personalities clashed at the dinner, and what happened behind those closed doors was far from what anyone would expect. As we continue to uncover the details of that night, it's clear that this gathering wasn't just a casual dinner. It was a collision of powerful egos, and Maher is here to tell us the whole truth about what went down. The dinner took place at an exclusive upscale restaurant, far from the prying eyes of the media. The location was chosen for its privacy, hidden away from the usual public spectacle that surrounds such prominent figures. Inside, dim lighting set the tone of the evening, offering just enough glow to reveal the faces of those seated at the table: Bill Maher, Donald Trump, and Kid Rock. The air was thick with tension, and you could feel the undercurrent of something extraordinary unfolding in this secluded space. From the moment they sat down, Maher couldn't shake the sense that this wasn't going to be an ordinary conversation. Trump's commanding presence was obvious, but it was Kid Rock's unpredictable, rebellious energy that gave the room a certain edge. The contrast between the two men couldn't have been more striking. Trump, with his calculated charm, and Kid Rock, with his no-nonsense attitude. Yet both of them were looking to dominate the room, and Maher was ready to observe what would come next. The initial conversation started smoothly, filled with small talk about politics and the current state of the country. But as Maher recalls, it wasn't long before Trump steered the conversation in a more controversial direction. The former president leaned in, lowering his voice slightly, as if sharing a secret. He casually mocked some of the media's biggest figures, but his words were sharp, laced with disdain. It wasn't the usual joking or light banter. This was personal. What stood out to Maher, however, wasn't just Trump's brazen commentary, but Kid Rock's response. Instead of brushing it off, Kid Rock leaned in, eager to contribute to the tirade. His voice matched Trump's intensity, and before Maher knew it, the two men were exchanging barbs about the so-called elites and their influence on the nation. It was a surprising turn of events. What started as a dinner between two public figures had quickly become a battleground for ideological clashes. Trump and Kid Rock were on the same side politically, yet the way they expressed their views revealed an underlying rivalry. Maher could feel the tension building in the room. Neither of the men was willing to back down, and each one was trying to assert his dominance, not just in politics, but in the conversation. But the real surprise came when the topic shifted to Trump's time in office. With a sly grin, Trump leaned back in his chair and remarked, "You know, the media can say whatever they want about me, but I've got the people. They can't stop me." It was a typical Trump statement, bold and brash, but it caught Kid Rock off guard. Instead of agreeing immediately, Kid Rock let out a small laugh and said, "It's not about the media, man. It's about what people really think. The elites are scared of you, but they're scared of me too." The moment was electrifying. Here were two men, both unapologetically outspoken, both holding enormous sway over the public, and yet neither willing to concede that the other might have the upper hand. They weren't just discussing policies or ideologies, they were declaring their own importance, their own power, and Maher could feel it. This wasn't just casual dinner conversation, it was a battle of egos, played out in real time. As the evening wore on, Maher couldn't help but notice that the surprises kept coming. Every new topic seemed to bring more tension, more surprises, and more unexpected turns in the conversation. But it wasn't just the topics themselves that caught Maher off guard. It was the intensity with which both Trump and Kid Rock spoke. It was as if they were testing each other, pushing boundaries to see who would flinch first. Neither man gave an inch, and that's when Maher realized this wasn't just a dinner, it was a display of power. But for all the fiery words and personal jabs, there was something else at play here, an unspoken game. Both Trump and Kid Rock were using the dinner as a stage, one where they could showcase their influence, their power, and their unshakable confidence. Maher could see it clearly. The evening was not just about food or politics, it was about making a statement, staking a claim to power and asserting their place in the world. As the dinner continued, Maher began to understand the true nature of what he was witnessing. The conversation had shifted from polite discourse to something much more profound. A raw, unfiltered clash of personalities, ideologies, and egos. There was something electrifying about the way Trump and Kid Rock played off each other, each trying to assert dominance in his own way. By the time the dinner came to an end, Maher knew this wasn't just another casual meeting between political allies. This was the beginning of something far bigger, a revelation that would soon come to light, and Maher wasn't about to let it slip away. But what other surprises would the night bring? He wasn't sure, but one thing was certain. The dinner was far from over, and there was more to be uncovered. As the evening continued, a shift in the atmosphere became palpable. What had begun as a casual dinner between two prominent personalities was now brimming with tension. Bill Maher, ever the observer, had sensed it from the beginning. The conversation was veering towards something unexpected. Trump, the man who had made headlines throughout his presidency for his unpredictability, was now opening up in ways Maher hadn't anticipated. Kid Rock, on the other hand, had been oddly quiet for much of the evening, but his silence would soon break in the most shocking way. The evening's turning point came when the trio was enjoying dessert. Something about the rich, luxurious surroundings seemed to heighten the tension. Trump leaned in with his signature confidence, speaking with the kind of self-assurance that only he could muster. "You know," he began, his voice booming across the table, "they've been trying to stop me, but they'll never succeed. I'm not finished. I'm coming back. They'll beg for me. I will be back." Bill Maher, taken aback by Trump's blunt statement, was momentarily stunned. His mind raced as he tried to piece together the gravity of what Trump had just said. In that moment, Maher realized that the former president wasn't just speaking casually. He truly believed in his comeback, and it was more than just a passing comment. It was a declaration of intent. But before Maher could respond, Kid Rock, who had been silent for most of the dinner, stood up abruptly. "You think you're going to waltz back into the White House, huh?" Kid Rock's words cut through the tension like a knife. His tone was sharp, challenging, as if he were ready to take on Trump head to head. For a brief moment, the room went quiet. Maher couldn't believe what he was hearing. Kid Rock, who had long been an ally to Trump, was now openly challenging him. The silence hung heavy in the air as Kid Rock continued. "They're never going to let you back in. You think they're going to roll out the red carpet for you? Forget it. You're not getting back into power, not like you think." Trump, usually the one to dominate any conversation, was caught off guard. His confident demeanor wavered just slightly as Kid Rock's words sank in. It wasn't often that anyone dared to speak to Trump this way, especially not someone who had been publicly supportive of him. Trump opened his mouth, clearly irritated, but before he could respond, Maher couldn't resist but jump into the fray. "Look at you two," Maher said, leaning back in his chair, a wry smile creeping onto his face. "The political world's been trying to figure out what to do with the both of you, and now here you are in this very room acting like you're in control of the narrative. It's almost comical." He paused, letting his words settle. "But the truth is, none of you really have a clue, do you? You're both part of a broken system, feeding off the same distractions, and it's only a matter of time before you both implode." This wasn't just a casual remark, it was a direct challenge to both Trump and Kid Rock, and the dinner, which had been a casual gathering, was now spiraling into something far more intense. Maher, with his signature sharp wit, had struck at the heart of the matter, but as he finished speaking, a new layer of tension seemed to engulf the room. It was clear now that the dinner wasn't just about camaraderie, it was about control, power, and ego. Three things that were about to collide in a spectacular fashion. What happened next would forever change the dynamics of this dinner. Trump, his face reddening, leaned in closer to Maher. "You think you know everything, don't you?" Trump said, his voice laced with anger. "You've been sitting there, making your snide remarks, but you haven't seen what I've seen. You don't know what I know." His eyes locked with Maher's, and for a brief moment, Maher could see the desperation in Trump's gaze. It wasn't just about the election. It wasn't just about a comeback. It was about his very identity, his legacy. But the real bombshell wasn't dropped by Trump. It came from Kid Rock. For the first time that evening, Kid Rock opened up about something deeply personal. He turned to Maher, his voice lower now, almost hesitant. "I wasn't always sure about this whole thing," Kid Rock said, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. "I didn't always believe Trump could do it again, but tonight I see something different. I see a man who won't back down no matter how much everyone tries to tear him down." The revelation wasn't about Trump's political plans. It was about the struggle within Kid Rock himself. The man who had been a vocal supporter of Trump's presidency had doubts, and for the first time, those doubts were laid bare. Kid Rock's admission sent shockwaves through the room, and it was clear that the dinner had taken an unexpected turn. The two powerful men, once seen as aligned in their views, were now clearly divided on some level. As Maher recounted this moment, it was impossible to ignore the raw, unfiltered tension that hung in the air. The dinner, once a casual gathering between public figures, had evolved into a battle of egos, ambition, and shifting allegiances. What Maher had revealed was not just a political commentary, it was a window into the inner turmoil of two of the most prominent figures in American culture. And as the night continued, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same again. The aftermath of Bill Maher's bombshell revelation about the secret dinner quickly became a spectacle that captivated both media outlets and the public. Once Maher opened the floodgates and exposed the raw truth of that evening, the media rushed to cover every angle, spinning the tale in ways that were equally sensational and shocking. The story was everywhere: cable news, social media, and even late-night talk shows, each platform dissecting the intimate moments Maher had revealed. It was clear that Maher's disclosure had shifted the narrative surrounding Trump and Kid Rock, turning an already controversial dinner into a full-blown national conversation. In the immediate aftermath, the media's reaction was explosive. Many outlets focused on Trump's unpredictable comments, discussing how his continued arrogance might cost him future political support. Others zoomed in on Kid Rock's unexpected revelations, speculating on his shifting allegiance and wondering whether his public endorsement of Trump would start to waver. Maher, the one who had exposed it all, found himself at the center of the storm, with some applauding his courage to reveal the truth, while others criticized him for sensationalizing a private conversation. The media landscape had become polarized, reflecting the larger divisions in American politics. The public perception of the dinner and the men involved was a complex mix of fascination, skepticism, and outright disbelief. For many, Maher's revelations offered a rare glimpse into the world of powerful figures behind closed doors, and the shocking details made headlines for days. Trump's supporters were divided. Some believed the former president's comments were taken out of context, while others began to question the sincerity of his political aspirations. Kid Rock's fans, too, were left in limbo as they tried to reconcile his previous loyalty to Trump with his candid confession at the dinner. The public, always eager for a glimpse into the world of the rich and famous, had gotten more than they bargained for. But it wasn't just the media and public who were reacting to Maher's words. The dinner's fallout was felt by Trump, Kid Rock, and Maher themselves. Trump's camp quickly moved into damage control mode, with close allies working behind the scenes to discredit Maher's version of events. Statements were issued to clarify Trump's position and downplay any perceived cracks in his political armor. Kid Rock, too, found himself facing questions from both fans and the media, struggling to explain his previously undisclosed doubts. And Maher, while he had stirred up a media frenzy, he knew that the true consequences of his revelation were yet to come. The dinner, once an intimate gathering, had become a full-blown spectacle, with Maher at the center of it all. As the fallout continued, one thing became clear. The dinner had changed everything. It had exposed cracks in the alliances of some of the most powerful figures in American pop culture and politics. And now, as the story developed, the big question remained: what would happen next? How would this alter their relationships, and what would be the consequences of Maher's revelation? The suspense was palpable, leaving everyone eagerly awaiting the next chapter in this unfolding drama. Bill Maher had always been known for his biting humor and controversial takes, but this time, things were different. As he prepared to reveal the details of the private dinner with Donald Trump and Kid Rock, Maher felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This wasn't just another story, it was a bombshell. Revealing the truth about what transpired that night meant exposing some of the most powerful and unpredictable figures in American culture. Maher's emotions were mixed: nervousness, anticipation, and even a bit of excitement. The decision to expose the details of the dinner wasn't taken lightly. As a seasoned host and commentator, Maher understood the gravity of what he was about to say. The stakes were high, not only for Trump and Kid Rock but for himself as well. There was always a risk when revealing such sensitive information, but Maher was ready. He knew that truth, no matter how explosive, was always worth sharing. Trump's reaction to the revelation was everything we've come to expect from the former president: defiant, dismissive, and unwilling to acknowledge any wrongdoing. His response was swift. He called Maher's version of events a distortion and claimed the dinner had been misrepresented. Trump's usual blend of arrogance and bravado was on full display as he downplayed the entire situation. He was quick to dismiss the bombshell as a media stunt, brushing off any notion that the dinner had been anything more than a casual gathering of friends. His emotional state during the fallout seemed a mix of irritation and defensiveness. Trump was no stranger to controversy, and he had weathered plenty of storms throughout his career. This was just another bump in the road for him. While Maher's revelation might have caused a stir, it seemed unlikely to shake Trump's unshakable confidence in himself. Kid Rock, however, reacted differently. Known for his bold and brash personality, the dinner's fallout caught him off guard. Kid Rock had always been a staunch supporter of Trump, but the public's response to the dinner revealed cracks in that relationship. His silence spoke volumes. As the media began to dissect every word he had said at the dinner, Kid Rock found himself facing unexpected scrutiny. His usual bravado faltered as the attention turned on him. For someone who had always embraced controversy, the fallout was a reminder of the unpredictable nature of public life. Kid Rock's response was marked by a sense of uncertainty. He wasn't the one making headlines this time. His association with Trump was now under scrutiny. The aftermath of the dinner had shifted the focus from Trump's political career to Kid Rock's role in the conversation. Meanwhile, Bill Maher's personal feelings were a mix of relief and apprehension. He had just shared a story that would change the public's perception of the dinner and the people involved. But what would the consequences be? Maher's emotional state was a complex one, as he knew the fallout from this revelation could lead to more than just media attention. It could lead to a shift in how people viewed him and his role in political discourse. He'd exposed a side of Trump and Kid Rock that had never been seen before, and now the entire nation was watching. The emotional toll of being the one to reveal such a secret weighed on him, but Maher couldn't help but feel a sense of power in his decision to expose the truth. The emotional stakes were high, and each of the players, Maher, Trump, and Kid Rock were caught in a whirlwind of their own emotions. The tension was palpable, and the consequences of this dinner, and the truth behind it, were far from over. As the fallout continued to unfold, it became clear that this revelation would have long-lasting effects on their public lives. Just when it seemed like the dinner's secrets had been fully exposed, Bill Maher dropped another bombshell, one that no one saw coming. As the media and public continued to digest his previous revelations about the tensions and unpredictable moments at the dinner, Maher unveiled a shocking twist that would forever alter the narrative surrounding that night. What appeared to be a straightforward story of two polarizing figures, Trump and Kid Rock, coming together for a private dinner was anything but ordinary. The twist? According to Maher, there was an entirely new player involved in the dinner, someone who had remained in the shadows until now, and their presence was the true catalyst for the chaos that unfolded that night. This individual, a figure with strong ties to Trump's political circle, had been quietly observing the dinner from a distance, but when things took an unexpected turn, they inserted themselves into the conversation, stirring up even more controversy. Maher's revelation sent shockwaves through the public. This new figure was none other than one of Trump's closest political allies, someone whose name had never been linked to the dinner until now. The moment Maher revealed this detail, the audience was left speechless. It added an entirely new layer to the story. Not only had the dinner been an event of power clashes between Trump and Kid Rock, but now it was clear that the political undercurrents were far more complex than anyone had imagined. This new player's actions had set the stage for a heated exchange between Trump and Kid Rock, one that Maher had carefully observed and now exposed to the world. The new figure's influence was undeniable, and their involvement in the evening would change the way people viewed both Trump's inner circle and Kid Rock's place within that circle. The implications of this twist were immediate and far-reaching. For Trump, this new revelation posed a serious challenge to his carefully curated public image. The dinner, originally seen as an offhand meeting between friends, now appeared to be a calculated political move, a meeting of powerful players, each with their own agenda. Kid Rock, too, found himself entangled in a web of political intrigue he hadn't expected. His previously clear-cut support for Trump was now complicated by the introduction of this new figure, and his role in the dinner's drama was reshaped. Bill Maher, meanwhile, found himself at the center of a storm. By exposing this new revelation, he had not only captured the public's attention but had altered the entire narrative. What was once a tale of egos clashing at a dinner table had now become a deeper political story, one that could have major repercussions for everyone involved. Maher had achieved what few others could. He had taken a seemingly straightforward event and turned it into a political thriller, filled with twists, turns, and dramatic revelations that would keep people talking for weeks. As the twist settled in, the stakes grew higher. The dinner was no longer just a quirky anecdote about celebrities and politicians. It was a complex and unexpected story that had the potential to shake the foundations of political alliances and media narratives. What would happen next? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain. Maher had just changed the game with a final, jaw-dropping revelation that would echo through the political world for months to come. The fallout from Bill Maher's shocking revelation about the secret dinner with Donald Trump and Kid Rock rippled through the media and beyond, leaving everyone involved scrambling to deal with the consequences. The twist had completely reshaped the narrative, and its impact would be felt across the political and entertainment landscapes for weeks to come. For Donald Trump, the fallout was immediate and intense. His political future, already filled with uncertainty following his presidency, now faced a new level of scrutiny. The revelation that a hidden political figure had been involved in the dinner, and that their influence had contributed to the chaos, raised questions about Trump's alliances and the true motivations behind his actions. Was the dinner merely a casual gathering of old friends, or was it a calculated political maneuver to strengthen ties with influential figures in the political world? For Trump, this could mean more than just bad press. The public's perception of his authenticity and his ability to lead was under the microscope once again. Was he playing a game of political chess, or was he out of touch with the very people who once supported him? The public would decide. Kid Rock, too, found himself caught in the storm. As a musician and outspoken Trump supporter, the fallout from Maher's revelations threatened to shake his position both in the music industry and in the political world. His brand, which had always leaned into controversy and defiance, was now facing questions about his involvement in a dinner with political figures behind closed doors. Could this tarnish his standing in the entertainment industry? And would his political alliances, especially with Trump, become more of a liability than a benefit? The dinner's fallout had forced Kid Rock into the spotlight in a way he hadn't expected, and his next steps would be critical in determining whether he could maintain his public persona or whether he would be defined by this scandal. As for Bill Maher, his career had taken an unexpected turn. Maher had always been known for his bold opinions and his willingness to take on powerful figures, but revealing the secrets of a private dinner between Trump and Kid Rock put him at the center of a media frenzy. While some applauded his courage in exposing the truth, others saw his actions as reckless or opportunistic. Maher's public image was now up for debate. Would this revelation solidify his place as a truth-teller, or cost him credibility in the long run? His willingness to air the dirty laundry of two of the most controversial figures in America had earned him both praise and criticism, and the question remained, would this act elevate his career, or would it lead to backlash he couldn't overcome? The tension was palpable as the fallout from the dinner continued to unfold, leaving each of these figures, Trump, Kid Rock, and Maher, facing consequences they never saw coming. What would the future hold for them, now that the truth had been revealed? The repercussions were far from over. As the dust settles from Bill Maher's bombshell revelation about the secret dinner with Donald Trump and Kid Rock, the implications are clear. What began as a private gathering behind closed doors has now exploded into a public spectacle, changing the course of politics and celebrity culture. The shocking details that Maher disclosed have raised more questions than answers, leaving the public to grapple with the complexities of power, influence, and the personalities behind these polarizing figures. Trump, ever the enigma, is once again at the center of controversy. The dinner only deepened the mystery surrounding his post-presidential era, casting a long shadow over his political future. The media now sees him through a new lens, and his supporters, already divided, are left wondering whether his alliances are sincere or self-serving. This dinner, meant to be a quiet affair, may ultimately be remembered as a key moment that reshaped the narrative of his post-presidency. Kid Rock, on the other hand, finds himself at a crossroads. The entertainer known for his rebellious spirit and political ties now faces a dilemma. Will he weather this storm, or will the fallout from the dinner alter his standing in both the music industry and his political circles? His future, like Trump's, seems uncertain, and only time will tell if his next moves will repair or tarnish his public image. And then there's Bill Maher. His decision to reveal the truth behind the dinner has sparked a firestorm of reactions. Whether you see him as a truth-teller or an opportunist, one thing is certain: his career will never be the same. But did he do the right thing by exposing the private moments of these powerful figures, or has he inadvertently set the stage for a larger political and cultural showdown? The drama surrounding this dinner isn't over. It's only just beginning. The consequences of these revelations will ripple through the media, politics, and public discourse for a long time to come. But as the dust settles and the fallout continues, we can't help but wonder, what's next for Trump, Kid Rock, and Maher? Will the truth come to light in more ways than one? And how will these revelations shape the way we view the figures who once seemed untouchable? We want to hear from you. What do you think about Bill Maher's bombshell revelations? How do you think this will impact Trump's future, Kid Rock's career, and Maher's position in the media? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends to keep the conversation going. Let's dive into the fallout together.